And a very good evening to everyone on a Wednesday night itself. Thank you for joining in for on DeFi Singapore's most on a regular Wednesday night itself, where we come and hopefully bring you news of what the new projects are about. And today we kind of got a good friend of ours, Bryan from Titan Squad, to come in and share a little bit about what he has been researching on. So the space grows really fast, right? I mean, and we can never catch up in time. So I've got my co-founders with me today. We came in full force. Right. Without further ado, Mr. Hautoshi and Adele, welcome to
Hi
the show.
guys. Hello.
So the guys will take it from me. I'll probably be away from this show itself. I hope you guys don't miss me too much. And I the metaverse has been quite the next big thing, right, guys? And then I know you guys have been talking about it, researching about it. And so today we actually brought on Bryan from the Titan Squad. One of the two co-founders who managed to come and agree to join us for it. So I hope you guys are ready because Hautoshi and Adele is gonna. Hey, you guys gotta smile more, man. What's up, man? The two of you look so serious. It's metaverse. Yeah. So anyway, the thing is, we're gonna have them talk and ask questions on your behalf. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask, by all means, go ahead and ask Bryan about a lot more in terms of what Treeverse is all about. Let's welcome Bryan. Bryan to the show. Hey, Bryan.
Hey guys,
Hey,
thanks
hello.
for having me.
No.
I think we all should smile more. It's an exciting thing we're gonna be discussing today, right? And it's
Cool.
largely about games, so
Mhm.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool, man.
Awesome.
So you started. I saw the video that you did on YouTube itself,
Yep.
on Treeverse itself. So just a disclaimer before we start. As with any of cryptocurrencies, we always say that you got to do your own due diligence. What we show is purely educational. And Bryan is not part of Treeverse.
Yeah,
He's
I
from
wish I
another
was
YouTube.
sometimes, I
He's
wish.
from another YouTube channel called Titan Squad. The Titan Squad. I'm sorry. There are Titan Squads around. I don't want to confuse that. This is called The Titan Squad. So you guys can go and like and subscribe and follow him as well. And we are very privileged to have him on the show today to hear him talk about Treeverse, because he did a really in-depth study on it. So just thought that maybe we can get him cut our learning curve by half at least. By having him on the show itself. So over to you guys. If you guys have any questions, shoot away. And ask Bryan.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I think Bryan, the metaverse has actually blown up, right? And Treeverse is
Yeah.
somewhat of a metaverse, right? And actually it
Yep.
started out with NF3s, which is like their product, and then Treeverse is like a RuneScape type of metaverse, which actually launches NFT product on August the 1st. Right?
Yep.
Around that period.
Yep. Yeah.
Can you share a bit more about Dreamverse in a short intro for Adele and myself and the rest?
Yep, sure. I will do just that. And I'll just share my screen so that we'll be able to get through this a little bit quicker.
I love it. I love all these share screens, and it's so cute as well. But just for the record, guys, I am personally a fan of Ryan's sharing. You've always managed to get put information across in a way that I can understand, so I really appreciate it. But you're sharing with us.
It's a skill.
It is.
It's a skill. Yeah, just give me a while while I get the screens up. Make sure I get the screen right. I just want to make sure I'm getting the screen up right. Says it can't access my screen. Just let me try again.
The security settings.
Yeah, I think possibly so. So just let me fix that. So So
It's
sorry,
really-
guys. Didn't
really
expect this.
cute, but there's like so many. Yeah, I'm such a sucker for like nature stuff, right? So this is right up my alley. NFT.
Okay, I think he
We
bounced.
lost we lost him for a moment. He's gonna come back in again.
Wow.
I think after the setting
Okay.
is done. Yeah,
That's
so
fine.
it's okay. We'll talk more with regards to this. Yes.
Hi, Govin. Yes, there will be a recording available after this.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to drop out for
Yeah.
a while because I had to change some of
No
the security
problem.
settings.
back.
Yeah, but now I'm back and I will be able to share my screen so you will be able to see it. Oh, not this one. It should be this or this. Sorry, sorry, this is something new for me. I promise you guys this will be worth it, okay? So just give us a while.
Oh, hold on.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
I think you should be able to see the screen now, right? So we should be good to go. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So you were asking me what is Treeverse, right? So
Yes.
I think when you say metaverse, that basically kind of goes through just the tip of the iceberg of what the metaverse is, or what Treeverse is, basically, because I think most people know Treeverse as a game, more so than it being a metaverse, right? So I will go on a little bit and explain a little bit about what the metaverse is first, just so that people understand the context around this. And the metaverse, in simple terms, are just two words fused into one, right? And meta just basically means beyond in Greek, and verse just means a particular space, which is why we have things like universe, which basically means the place that we are in at this point in time. So when you talk about the metaverse, it just means a space that is beyond the current space that you are in. So it can mean a lot of things. And I'm sure if you're here, it's probably because it piqued your interest, where everybody is speaking about metaverse, right? So to give you an example, I think what you're seeing on screen here is one that I can really relate to. So metaverse is definitely not something that's new, right? So if you have a look at the Starbucks example here, that to me, at that point in time when he was thinking about it, he probably didn't think about it as Starbucks being a metaverse. Like he probably thought of it as an extra space or a new space, right? But the idea behind it was he was trying to create another space outside the home and the office. And that's why he wanted to create this space for people to come and connect, or for people to come and work. And that in itself could also just mean a metaverse, right? And that's exactly what Treeverse is. They are trying to create a space whereby people can participate in that space. So RuneScape in itself, like Hosen mentioned,
browser game.
it is a metaverse in itself. Or we can even talk about World of Warcraft, which is kind of like a game which I don't know if you guys played, but I played so much that I had to tell my parents that it's a part of my lifestyle, or World of Warcraft is a lifestyle. You know, it's not a game, because I have a new set of friends and I'm doing other stuff that is there, right? So that's exactly what Treeverse is. They're building a new space for you to be able to enter and play games, and at the end of the day, make money from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So if I were to elaborate a little bit more then about what the game is, so well, I stopped short there, but basically Treeverse, like I said, it's a game, right? So for those of you who are gamers, you're going to be more well versed with some of the terms here, like MMORPG, which basically means if I'm not wrong, it's like a massive multiplayer online role playing game. Right? So that's how the game is built. or how it's going to be built. So I had a couple of maps here just to draw your attention and so that you can understand that as well. So if you think about games like World of Warcraft, or if you think about games like GTA 5, it's an open world, right? Whereby there are many aspects or many different areas to the game that you can explore, and you are not confined to a specific place as in, let's say, Dota or League of Legends, right? Whereby the map will always be that map, right? And that's what they are building. So you can imagine yourself, if I were to maybe bring this up just for you to have a look, right? So this is the current game that is available. It's still in development, and I think this speaks for itself. I'm in someone's house at the moment, but what's going to be able to happen is you will have a character in the game, and you'll be able to explore the different aspects of the games to make friends, build stuff.
Right now, it's a pixel base, but it won't look like this, right?
Yeah, so how it will eventually look is what you're going to be seeing on screen now. So this is another point which really is super important to me, just to be able to look and see how much a game has developed over time, or how a metaverse develops over time, because that's going to tell me how invested certain founders or investors are into a project, right? And if I'm putting my money in a project like this, I want to know that they are heading in the right way. So to your point, yes, it's a pixel game now, but what you're currently seeing on screen is kind of like where they are heading to next, right? So it's a massive improvement from what you just saw. And that in itself is already an improvement from what you are seeing on screen now, which is like a stage 1 or stage 0 for that matter. When they started, this was how it looked like, right? So along the way, things have improved so much, right? So what you're seeing on screen is like what I said. You get to meet friends, you hang out with people, you go and have a burger together, you display some of your assets online. And that's a big black hole. If you're someone who plays this kind of games, then you would know that it's a big black hole. Yeah.
This is so scary, because it looks like the things that I would usually like to play. Even the current pixelated version is good enough for me.
That's actually what attracted me to it.
Yeah. So it's exactly that, right? I think the graphics speaks a lot, especially in this day and time where there's so much discussions around how some people are passing off games just by buying them off some of the game libraries, right? And then they make it look like they put in so much effort into that game, but actually at the end of the day, what they have just done is buy a game off a shop and put it up for people to play, right? But I think Treeverse is different in that sense, and I can say that confidently simply because of the number of changes and the number of improvements they have made along with time. And Adele, to your point, I think these graphics are amazing. It reminds me a little bit like an Animal Crossing. So that's what I say a lot. I don't know whether you know of that game or if you play that game on Switch, which is a metaverse in itself, right? And people spend hours there planting trees and selling these fruits off for in-game money, right? yeah, right. So that's basically what the game is about, right?
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah. This is quite it is quite mad, and I think the other thing that I will probably just bring out as well, right, just to share that and to say, because there is a question in the chat that asks if this is worth it or not, right? So I think to answer that, there are probably two questions that we need to define first. I think one, when you say worth it, is it in time in terms of the time that you're going to have to spend playing the game, or the money that you need to spend playing the game, right? But I think if we think about the time that we have to spend to play the game, I think all gamers would know that as long as the game is fun, at the end of the day, then time is going to be worth it, right? So then that leads me to my next question about is this worth it in terms of profitable sense, right? Are we going to be making enough money out of this? Or some of you may even be questioning, like, are you sure we can make money from a game? And I think this is the next point that I just wanted to share with you guys, because while Treeverse is the game, I think the context behind it, or to understand why are so many people into this whole crypto gaming and metaverse thing is it's important to be understood so that you know what you're getting into, right? And I'll just go straight right into the heart of it to say that one of the most defining characteristics of blockchain-based gaming, like Treeverse, is that people are finally able to own their in-game assets. So just let me, here. So if you are someone who plays a lot of games, for me, the perfect example will be FIFA Ultimate Team. I'm not sure if you guys know about that, but it's basically a game on FIFA on PlayStation 4 or 5. And how it works is you can build a team and you can play with that team. There is a representation of the different cards that you collect, right? So it's like a card game, but you get to use those players to play a real match with your cards. And the issue about that is every year you have to spend a lot of time and money to buy these cards or to earn these cards. But the issue with it is every year FIFA will come out with a new game, right? Because that's how they make their money, where the kits change and where players change teams as well. And they don't allow you to bring your assets from the previous year to the next year. So every year you start from zero. You have to reinvest your time and your money, and your in-game assets are essentially not yours, and you cannot monetize it, because at the end of the day, it still belongs to the creators, right? EA Sports, who created these things. But with the metaverse or with blockchain-based gaming, these things are going to change, because as you already know, with NFTs now coming into the scene in a huge way, it allows us to be able to own these in-game assets. So what I mean by that is, for example, in Treeverse, I will have these examples here. You will be able to own your assets in terms of NFTs. So, for example, the house that you live in. So like the one that I showed you, this is not my house. This is one of the mods' house. But I was here the last time I was in the game, right? So for example, this is your house, right? So you can come in here, you can decorate it, and everything that you.
That was my house.
I wish it was my house too. I mean, just look at the number of timeless here.
I know. Yeah, actually, I was going to ask you, Bryan. Like, I'm sure our audience want to know, like, how many do you own? Any of these timeless NFTs?
Yes. Of course I do, but I don't own as many as what you're seeing up here. The people who own this were in the game way earlier than I was, right? And I think that's also what we are trying to do. I've been following this game, I think, for about a month half now. And I'm just waiting for the new update to come about, just so that I can get into the game proper. They are developing the game.
Go into the game now. Do you think it's too late asking for a friend?
No, it's not too late to get into the game now, because that leads me to the next point. You just need to be able to have the stuff that allows you to get into the game, right? So these are the things like, you can definitely play the game, but if you want things like you want a house in the game, then this is what I was trying to say, where it goes back to the point of being able to buy or sell assets within the game, which means if I were to bring you to no, it isn't this, right? So what you're currently seeing on screen, for those of you who are new to this, yes, these are the founder plots, right? Or in other words, this is the house that is in the game. So taking this and relating this back to the example that I gave around the FIFA Ultimate Team and not being able to own your assets. At the end of the year, your assets just goes back or it just disappears, right?
Yes.
But now with a blockchain-based game, you actually own the houses, and these houses come in the form of an NFT. So what you are seeing here are basically houses whereby you can buy one for 0.94 Ethereum. Well, price is relative, but I would just say that I would consider this to be at a discount comparing to what it was just a couple of weeks ago.
What was it before?
I think at a point it was close to about 1.25 to 2 Ethereum. I think it was somewhere around there. Yeah, so we are at about 20% discount at this point in time, right? Yeah. So if you buy
what's the utility of the plot, right?
Yeah.
For those.
So utilities are for the plot. The basic initially when you first got into the game, right? What it gave you was essentially a house. So what I mean by a house is this, right? So this is what you are saying. But how they also try and make it interesting is that the more founder plots that you hold, the bigger the house you are going to get. So this gives people a reason to be able to collect more of these founders plot, as you have just seen, right? And the biggest one, or well, not the biggest one, well, it's the biggest one to me because that's the only size that I can afford at this point in time, is if you have 5 founders plot. So what that means is that if you had bought 5 of that, you'll be given an island. So what you're seeing on screen now is an island. So I mean, it's not obvious, but you can see by the edges there's the water there, right? So this is an island. So if you are someone who only has 1 or 2, then you will just get a house without an island. So this will encourage trading of the houses, right? Because there'll be some people who want to collect more, and there'll be some people who, for example, wants to get out of the game. So going back to that question, it gives you the opportunity to make money stemming from the fact that you have the opportunity to own assets in these kind of games. Yeah. But with that, the second part of the question to answer that is the other thing I love about Treeverse is about how the founders or how the team continuously improve what they do. So what I just shared with you was the initial utility of a founder's plot, which means of your home, right? But they have realized that they could do a lot more with that. And just 9 days ago, they actually added utilities to it. So can you imagine now, the first time I did this stream, I was speaking to some of the people in the team, and I told them, and I said, because one of them has 100 founder plots. So I said, can you rent some of them to me? And at that point in time, I didn't know that they had plans to do that. And a couple of days later, I realized that you could actually rent out your founder's plot.
I mean, this is blowing my mind. This is bringing out all the geek. I'm trying very hard to contain the geek in me. You have anime, right? Earlier you Warcraft, and then now you tell me about like trading property, like Monopoly. And then if you're a gamer, then you would know like extra storage space is very, very useful. Especially in a game where you're collecting things.
Yeah, so exactly, right? So they will give you the option to customize your house in a more user-friendly way. So this reminds me again a little bit like Sims, what you are seeing on screen. You know, like you can build your walls, you can add your stuff, as compared to what it is now, whereby you can just drop stuff in your house, right? So that's what I meant again, going back to the point on continuous improvement, right? The game is continuously being improved, and it's improved in a way whereby it's so significant. And like I said, can you imagine being able to rent out your house or like your plot of land? And that is really insane. So when you think about it, like I said, it's at a discount now, right? 0.94. But if you're someone who is not interested in playing the game, well, you could just rent it out, and it's just a matter of time until you make back your capital spent on it, right? So there's just so many ways to go about making money, stemming from the fact that you can own these assets in game. So yeah, it's massive.
So there was a few elements to it, right? There's the NF trees, right, which are the trees, which were the founder ones. There are the founder plots, and then there's the timeless.
Yeah.
Right, which are the characters that
Yeah. So that's right. Again, going back to NFTs and what's the utility of it in this game, right? So just to avoid confusion for those of you who are thinking about what NFTs are, these are just basically the assets in the game. It could generally mean a wider aspect of things, but in context to Treeverse, the NFTs that they have are basically in-game assets that you can own. Right, and there are currently 3 in there at this point in time. And I've covered the founder's plot, so I'm not going to go into detail for now. But I think NFT trees and timeless are the other 2 NFTs that you can own in the game. And the statement that I always make is the beauty about such games or metaverses is that both a gamer and an investor has a part to play in this ecosystem. So if I'm not a gamer and I'm an investor, I don't play the game, but it doesn't stop me from buying and trading some of these NFTs out there, right? So that's important because some of the things that I'm going to share here, for example, NFT trees or NF trees, right? This was the first NFT that the Treeverse created, or the founder of Treeverse created. So while it always was going to have a utility, it only found its utility in the Treeverse game much later. Okay, but the true power or the true utility of it has just been revealed. Okay, but before I tell you what it can do in the game, I'm just going to have a look at that price. Okay, so it's 7.5 Ether for one NFT tree. So for those of you who are new, you're just going to be thinking like, what? You are asking me to pay 30,000 for a piece of art that doesn't even look like a proper tree, right? But that's why I think the utility of NFTs are very important. And the utility of this NFT is in-game, right? Which means what can you do with it in the game? So this started off just as an NFT, and then the value got added in the game. So similar to what they did with the founder's plot, whereby they improved on the utility recently, they did the same for the NFT trees. So what they have done for it is mad as well. So the NFT trees are not just going to be pictures in the game. What they're allowing you to do now is to plant these trees in the metaverse. And people can go to your tree and harvest fruit from it. And they pay you for the fruits. So
And
that
you
in
get some
itself...
seeds or something, right?
Yeah, so it's essentially a passive income. Like you just plant your tree and people come to your tree and they interact with it, or in other words, they buy the fruits of your trees. And people will want to buy fruits from these trees because we all know that potions in games are important, right? When you're about to die in game and you need a potion to keep you alive, then you will need it, right? So then you will have to go back to these trees, or like you might have to go to a tree because you need an ingredient or you need a particular fruit to create a better item which will help you to do better in the game as well, right? So in essence, it's now for those people who own these NFT trees, again, it's just a matter of time before they break even, because all they have to do is just to plant the tree in game and people will be attracted to them because they will have to use some of these things to advance in the game. So as you can see here, so the utilities of the NFTs for Treeverse, to be honest, is probably one of the best that I've ever seen in this space, at least for now. Just because of the thought that they have put behind to help, or rather to reward the owners of these people. Yep.
Right. I have a comment. Like the tree NFTs are so visually different from the anime, the timeless, the images. As do you think there will be? What do you think? Do you think they'll have to change the artwork? Do you think there's?
Oh man, that's an awesome question. I just re I just retweeted and I just saw this perspective, right, from this guy called West, who put on this tweet specific to timeless, right? So before I go into their timeless is basically like the anime that you see, right? But the utility for the game is that instead of me being this person in game, my character will be my timeless character, which will look a lot more awesome, right? Because it's meant to be designed in that way. So that's the current utility at this point in time. I was hoping that they added more utilities to timeless as they have done with the NFT trees and the founders plot, but I don't think we've heard from them about that yet.
They just make it pretty.
Yeah, they just make it pretty, and it's a way to reward you as well, right? When you're in the game and you are with you will clearly stand out against the people who basically don't have this timeless. And if you are a hardcore gamer, then of course you would want to ensure that you look great in the game that you love, right? So, but that aside, looking at it from an investor point of view, which is what this guy called Wes brought out, to me it was super refreshing, because what he brought out here is like there are so many people talking about NFTs and the utility that it brings, right? And most of the time we have been talking about NFTs playing its part in art, in music. Well, in some cases, some people even talk about NFTs in real estate for that matter. Yeah. But he brought in a very interesting perspective to say that the anime market is so huge and yet no one has really tapped into it yet. And Timeless is kind of like the first project or the first NFT project that has just barely scratched the surface of that, right? So can you imagine if it came to a point whereby people start to understand the crossover or how NFTs and animes can come together? I think that, well, for me, I'm not a huge anime person, but I know people who are like hardcore into this space, right? And they really go crazy over it, buying comics or just watching the videos and stuff.
Anime space is so ripe for NFTs.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it's something that I overlook. Like, it's not something that pops into my mind right off at this point in time, right? To say that, oh, this is an opportunity. So to your point, Adele, I think the anime thing works both ways now, from a gamer point of view and from an investor point of view. Because if I'm holding a Timeless now and in time to come, when the anime side of things catch up with NFTs, this statement here sounds it all up, because there will be millions of people looking at, and they'll be wanting to own one of these, which in supply is less than about 10,000 or so.
I mean, but Bryan, so this is looking at this project, there are many aspects of it that I love. So from a fan perspective, coming in though, when I look at the game, it actually reminds me of those sushi games that I play. Like the little chef, I have to go fishing, catch my fish, and then like cut it. You have to be really accurate. Otherwise, you don't get that many sushi slices. Then you cannot sell so many, so you make less money. So, right? So I like the kind of game. I see that in the gameplay. I like the concept of the tree, and then harvesting and the potion making. That's like a different game. And then I look at the anime. So I love all these aspects, but there's incongruence for me. I don't see the one thing that ties them up. Maybe I'm just a very visual person. What do you think? The visual incongruence bothers me a little bit.
Yeah. So I would think that is possibly happening at this point in time, because they are still trying to develop the many different things at this point in time. So if I were just to pull this up, right? So what you're seeing here in the gameplay to come, I think in this short video in itself, this has already shown that things are more aligned here. Like you can see some of the trees that you can plant. The characters here are a little bit more anime-ish. yeah, so it's definitely going to be more aligned with what we are currently seeing or in the demo or the beta at this point in time, right?
So it
But the
doesn't
other
matter
thing,
if my 7 ETH NFT tree doesn't look like that right now.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure they are gonna do it justice when the game comes live. So we'll have to see about that. But I think we also kind of learn that often with NFTs, it's not just about how it looks, right? I think the utility
That's true.
sometimes plays a bigger part, and people, in my opinion, tend to like the uglier things. It's so strange, but I mean, it is what it is,
Subjective.
right? yeah, that's a great word. I mean, it is subjective. But Adele, again, to your point, I think this gives me the opportunity to then bring up some of the other things that Treeverse is looking to do. And I think this then puts into perspective, or it gels it all together at this point in time, right? Because I think I do agree things are a little bit fragmented because we are early, and it's always good to be early, right? So if you just look at the roadmap or what they expect to come soon, there are a few things here. So as you can see,
Nice.
or as I've shared,
Mobile.
there are only 3 NFTs that are available, right? Which is the Founder's Plot, the NFT trees, and the Timeless Characters. But what you're going to realize is in time to come, there will be a few things here. So one is going back to the example of World of Warcraft. And for me, this was the black hole, when you could form guilds with people. And you could say, let's go and raid a dungeon tonight at 8 p.m. or something along those lines, right? And you attend raids, you go to events as a guild. That is the thing that is going to suck so many people in, because it's essentially a whole new community in this metaverse, which in this sense is Treeverse. And that will encourage more people then to be looking at things like weapons and consumables, things like clothes, to dress up your characters, right? And again, this goes back to the point of what I just said. It allows you for once to finally own these in-game assets. So there's a lot of opportunities for you both as an investor and both as a gamer. And I think when all these aspects come together in the form of being able to earn from the trees, being able to utilize your weapons when you fight with some of the monsters in the dungeon, being able to go back to a home or a place that you can call home with the Founder's Plot that you have, and being able to look nice with a timeless character that you now have. I think that's when the game eventually starts to come together as a whole.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it's great that also it's going to be rebuilt on mobile as well.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
the update that we got is what you just saw on my screen is currently being placed on hold because they have decided to put the desktop version on hold, and they are 100% focusing on the mobile release of this game.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
if you ask
Okay.
me,
That's awesome.
yeah, because if you ask me, I think that to me as an investor just goes to show that the founders of the project understands the gaming landscape very well, about the number of people, the proportion or the opportunity of people on the mobile platform as compared to the browser platform. And to take this decision is extremely smart, and it aligns with what I would like to see. And these little things matters to me. And I think that answers Sui's question in the chat. And there's another question as well regarding what if Meta or the old Facebook rolls out a metaverse in 3D, right? Will it push this game out of contention? Interesting question. I think that is very much, well, I wouldn't say push this game out of contention. I think in time to come, there will be many different metaverses. And for the fact that Meta or Facebook is in this space, and we have already seen what they have first started to do, right? So I think they, and Jose, and I think you probably know this better than me as well, but they have started to collaborate with some of the bigger metaverses companies, right? I think potentially with Xe or with Sandbox, if I'm not wrong. I will have to verify that. But So I'm pretty sure they are going to be coming up with something that is huge as well. In the what's that called?
I think there on aside from that, like there will always be a space for people who do like, you know, this kind of concept, right? Anime concept, more greedy stuff. Not everyone likes the whole 3D metaverse kind of feel as well, right? They still like the, you know, it brings back memories of like certain things. Like for
Nostalgia.
example, RuneScape, right? It's just they can upgrade the graphics of RuneScape anytime, but it's just something about voxels, which is why Sandbox is very popular. And then there's also Decentraland, which is 3D, right? But there are things that Decentraland can do that Sandbox cannot, and then vice versa. And I do think that Facebook will help in onboarding a lot more people mainstream, right? But whether they want to allow you to own assets is another thing, or whether the assets still belong to them at the end of the day.
With Facebook, right? That's the thing with corporations, right?
So that kind of like is the question of like Web3 altogether, right? You know, being built and owned by the builders and the people who use it.
Is this considered an independent game then, right? This would be...
Yes. So this is an independent game. So I'm just gonna to drop you guys some alpha, right? So Lupify basically is the guy who created he's the guy who created the Treeverse, right? So in my previous stream, I did cover what his background was, and I'm not going to get too technical here, but basically he has a whole background in the NFT space. So again, when I look to get into such games, who the founders are and what they do is extremely important. I think we've seen a lot of cases whereby celebrities just come out and try and do an NFT project, but they don't really know what they're doing or how to market it appropriately, and they fail. So that's why for me, this is key, right? So Lupify is someone who has been around for a long time. So he has been someone who has been writing a lot of articles about NFTs to help people to get along. He's an artist, he collected it as well, and then eventually he decided to create his own. So Treeverse is essentially the first project that he did, and he co-founded it with someone else. But now yesterday night, he just announced his second project that he's doing, and it's called Interleaf. Yeah, so I was early enough to get into the Discord for Interleaf when he was just doing limited invitations. But there's nothing much that you have missed out there, because there's no whitelist that's going to be given out. And to be honest, that's actually, while it's kind of like a love-hate thing for me, while I do want to get whitelisted and get in early before the rest of you do, I do appreciate the fact that he is not giving out any whitelists, because a community should not be defined by a whitelist, right? People should not be there because they want to get whitelisted, right? And I tend to subscribe to that quite a bit, and I'm appreciative of that. But he is going to be dropping. So what he's doing here in this project is he has made a video, or kind of like a show, and it features the Bored Apes.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So I think the release is going to be dropping tomorrow at 10 p.m. GMT. So I think you'll be able to then mint the NFTs then. But
I know what
me
we're doing tomorrow at 10 p.m. GMT.
So it's going to be a public mint? Oh, wow.
Yes, it's going to be a public mint. So the people who are in the Discord just basically gets to have a sneak peek at some of the videos that he has made, like the episode that he has made. And it does look awesome. It's also
any idea of pricing?
No, he hasn't said that yet. So maybe if you follow me on my Twitter, I'll just drop that when that comes out. But at this point, no. There's not much that has been shared except for the fact that it will be a public mint. I think he let about 2,500 people in, and after he announced that there was no whitelist, the people who were looking for whitelist left, and I think we have slightly less than 2,000 people. But for me, I believe in Loopify. I think he has been doing a great job with Treeverse, and I don't expect him to be doing anything less with Interleaf. And if you're in early, you could well get the NFT trees equivalent of Treeverse in Interleaf, right? So you would probably have to stay tuned to that. And as he
is there any talk about whether Interleaf will be on the Treeverse game?
No, I think it's gonna be independent. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be independent. And he has gave his commitment to say, if I can just find that tweet.
Just two projects, right? Interleaf.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So a lot of people here, a lot of people has been asking him, right, to be doing more stuff, because obviously he has been doing quite a lot in this space, but he has decided that he's going to stop, and Interleaf will be his last, and he will be focusing on Treeverse and Interleaf. So that to me is huge. It's a worthy investment for sure.
Yeah, I want to shout out to like some of my creative friends out there, like JD. I really want to know, Bryan, okay, first question, how many hours do you spend on gaming a week now?
Oh, that's a good question, because if you ask me, I actually don't game. If not, I will not be able to share these things with you.
Yeah, but the last you logged on to Treeverse, but I thought you were a gamer. Like if I were you, I would be playing.
No. So this is actually a very interesting thing that you brought up, because the context behind that was when I was younger, I was playing a lot of games, right? And like I shared, I was playing the World of Warcraft and stuff like that. But as I grew older, I could not resonate the purpose of playing games with real life, simply because there was nothing that you could take out of that game that could give you a one-up in your daily real life, right? Because like I shared with you, you could not make money as you can now, for example, with XC or with some of the other play-to-earn games. You do not own your assets, and everything that you earn is essentially just in the game. Right. So I think as we moved on with life and we started to work and we go to school, then we realized that, okay, these things are more purposeful, right? Which is why, at least for me, games kind of took a backseat. Which is why I feel so strongly things are going to change with the metaverse, or specifically for gaming cryptos. And I know this narrative has been floating around now that gaming cryptos is going to be the space that will pull the masses into crypto. And it only makes sense because it is essentially the bridge of what I just shared, whereby the games are no longer just games. And there are so many gamers out there in this world who are essentially playing for nothing at this point in time. But I wouldn't say nothing, like they are playing for pride, right? Or they are playing to be the best gamer.
Exactly.
I mean, the esports space is huge. They do play for money if they're professional. Sports artists.
But then again,
I mean, even with the whole Pokemon thing, right? Whereby we see like aunties and uncles or kids gathering at like a playground just to catch Charizard or like a rare Pokemon, and that was like done for free. There's you don't own those assets. If the game goes down, like you just play for fun, right? Just because it entertains you. I think it was quite fun also. You go around different locations, and that's the whole thing about it, that a game first and foremost has to be fun. It has that social element to it. And I feel like with the whole NFTs, the marriage and the intersection, that will really take it to the next level, because you actually get to own it and you get to participate with the game.
Yes.
So
here's my question to both of you, to both Bryan and also Bryan. Obviously, you have an instinct for good projects and for games, and Hosan has shown us over and over again his instinct for NFTs. What makes a good so we know the utility of NFTs, we see it in a few projects, but what are some things that would call out to you in a project, in a NFT game project?
Well, the short answer is as what Hosan has just said. It has to be fun, right? And fun is subjective. And And I think that's why there are many different games, right? For example, there will be some people who prefers to play first-person shooters, and there will always be people who prefer to play role-playing games, right? But it doesn't matter what genre of games, but the short answer to that is it has to be fun. And the reason for that is the gamers or the mass people who come into crypto are not coming into crypto for crypto. They are coming into crypto because they are gamers and the games are fun. And when that happens, they are going to keep playing the game regardless of their earning capability of the game. In other words, how much they can earn is going to take a backseat, and it will survive the crypto winter that we have been discussing so much about, because at the end of the day, they are not going to dump their tokens as long as the games are fun, because they are going to play as long as the games are fun. So if the games are fun, then that's the number one thing. It needs to be fun. And then that starts the rest of the sense check of whether the game can survive or not.
So do you both still believe that content, after all these years, we can still safely say that content is still king?
Content in a gaming crypto side of things, in terms of it being fun, yes, I would say that is
definitely.
Most important. If the game is not
also,
fun, no one is going to play it.
I feel like the mechanics of the game also have to be easy to understand. Number one, I think onboarding of like new users, like tutorials, like there are some which I'm a huge fan of when I first started the NFT game, which is Star Atlas, right? But but there's so many layers for Star Atlas. I'm just thinking, right, if they really want the masses to come in, so many elements like shipbuilding, then after that you got like different worlds, you got governance, you got all that kind of thing and all, right? The moment a game becomes so complicated, I think you limit your number of players. You get maybe you're very, like when it comes to even board games, right? There are the really technical ones, and then the ones that are easy to play, like Friday night, you don't need much thinking, you just go in and play. I think those are the games that, I think there's a fine balance, I guess, And of course, I think updates to the game is important, new things to do. So a lot of it has to come from like the team itself, right? The development. And that's something I'm always looking for. And I feel like Loopify, if I follow him, I've been following him for a few months already. He's very passionate about like what he's building. And it's not that kind of game like, just, there's nothing going on. But you can see that actually they are the community, or like the behind the scenes. He's even rethinking like, how do we even rethink like the play to earn model? Because he feels that play to earn sounds very like I'm forced to play. To earn money. You know what I mean? But he's maybe just thinking on that sense, like, the whole ethos of like a fun game is just, it's just something that you enjoy playing at the end of the day. And there's a question actually, are cinematics and stories cosmetic for these games, or the main focus more about getting people to come to play? I do feel like the cinematics and stories, or aka the lore, actually help to storytell. And I think that's very important when it comes to a game, right? Aside like, A plus fire beat, water beats fire, and therefore you win, right? But there's different ways to spin off and tell. It's all about storytelling. I think that is very important when it comes to drawing people to the romance part, right? Of like, why I even play this game, or why I even have that, in this Treeverse itself.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think most of the NFTs that we are seeing, right, while you see the NFTs, there's always a story behind it, right? Because that is what gives people the meaning or the purpose behind the NFTs. And maybe the only other thing, Adele, to sum up that question that you ask is, and I think this relates a little bit to Hosen. I think you posted up something about some of your friends or your acquaintances being scammed by some play to earn games. And I'm saying that because I think for me, the more technical side of things, apart from it being fun, is how, if the rewards that you are going to be able to get, is it sustainable or not? And what I mean by that is, play to earn just means as you play, you will earn a certain amount of money, right? And that also means that money that you're going to earn as rewards have to come from somewhere. So that basically means that if you look at how the game functions, it should make sense in terms of how they keep that sustainable. Because there are going to be games that will entice you to join them with very high rewards, right? But when they keep giving out that high reward, then how are they going to be sustainable if they don't create enough opportunities to top up the pool for those rewards, which may come in spending opportunities, like to buy better weapons, to buy better clothes, right? And without getting in too deep, that's also something that I definitely look out for.
Okay, awesome.
So can I wait to summarize? Are you talking about how the project allocates its funds, whether it puts more of its funds into the earning mechanism for the community? Or are you talking about whether they spend money on the marketing? Because in filmmaking, it's the same thing, right? Do we decide to spend more money on production or marketing?
So for example, right, in this case, like if you have a look at this tweet specifically, right, the question here is it free to interact with an NFT tree, right? So if I'm a tree owner and let's say Adele, you come and you interact with that tree, I will get 90% of the profits, but the other 10 will be given back to the owners to be burned, right? Or in other words, perhaps for them to reuse that amount or to try and circle or to recycle back some of the funds into the ecosystem, which may potentially then feed back into being able to give rewards for the people who are playing the game. So in that sense, that indicates to me that there is some thought behind how they intend to keep the whole rewards system sustainable. So yes, for a start, when they start the game, I need to know how much the reward pool is and how they intend to give it up, right? But at some point in time, that's going to end. So how are you going to keep that pool going? So that I am sure that the game is not going to die or my rewards is not going to get significantly cut just because it comes to a point where they cannot keep the rewards pool sustainable. Then people are going to leave the game, right? Or people who are playing for the rewards are going to leave the game, and that's going to have a huge impact in the adoption of the game.
Indeed.
Right. Wow. I mean, I actually just have one last question. Both you and Hosen are such snipers. You really go in, and you guys, how much time do you spend, going into all this information? The allocation of resources. How do you tell from like tweets and discords?
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely takes a lot of effort to do this research, right? And I mean, I'm in a space where I can afford that. And for me, I think DeFi SG and on my side with the Titan Squad, I think we are collaborating well because we understand that crypto needs to be inclusive, and no single person or a single group of people is going to be able to cover all the opportunities that are possible, right? So the way I approach it is as such: if a project sounds enticing to me, then I would go for quality instead of quantity. So that's when I do my deep dives, and it can take hours in a day to be able to get things out. But most importantly is to be able to share it, right? Which is exactly what I'm doing with you guys, so that we can all keep updated with it, and you don't have to spend that amount of hours that I have done to know about Treeverse, and perhaps your time would have been spent on something else like the punk comics. And when you share that with me, that cut shorts my time, and it's a win-win for both.
Punk comics is
profit out of it, right?
It's a black hole,
man. Definitely here, I think at DeFi SG we look forward to more of these digestion sessions with Titan.
For sure.
We actually,
for sure.
You guys are amazing. I just like gleaning bite-sized information and then sharing them with our community as well. So thank you very much. We're running out of
That's
time.
definitely the goal.
Thank you, Bryan.
No worries, it's a pleasure, guys.
Thank you, Bryan, for such an informative session, man. I'm sure there are more questions with regards to Treeverse and all the necessary items. Thank you for the alpha as well.
In Interleaf, right?
It's like cool. If you could just send in the links, of the official links of Treeverse and where
for sure.
just drop that in the comments so that I can actually put it up properly for people to see.
Yes, I will.
You know, because we, you know, the last time we did a show, I showed up a scam link, so let's not go down the
It happens. It happens.
get all the official ones, you know, basically. So on that note, guys, thank you for joining us on a Wednesday night. This time we managed to finish on time with 1 hour of, and thank you to my co-host as well. If it's anything else, it's time for Plan B, right? I'm wearing the t-shirt. I gotta wear the t-shirt, man. Yeah. So thank you all for joining on this call. And I bid you a good night to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.